I'm Caroline Clare. I'll be graduating from Seabreeze High School and attending the University of Florida in the fall, so go Gators, majoring in either political science or English to pursue a career in law. I'd like to thank my parents, my mom, my dad, and my older sister Courtney for constantly supporting me throughout my school and life.
Hello, my name is Leland LeBlanc. I'm graduating from Seabreeze High School. I'm going to Daytona State College. I'm going to be studying the construction management program and transferring to UF later on after my AA. I'd like to thank my parents, my mom and my dad, my dogs, my sister that's currently at UCF, and the church for supporting me through all the years of my life, and just very thankful for everything.
Hi, Ashley. Where did you graduate from?
I graduated from Mainland High School.
Congratulations. What are you doing this summer?
I am working as a counselor at Royal Willis Methodist Church Camp.
And what are you doing after that?
I am going to school at Daytona State.
Yay, we're so happy you're staying close. Do you have a memory or a reason that you love being a part of the First United family, the Gathering Place, and First United Youth?
Mostly VBS. That's where I started. I was coming to VBS.
Awesome.
Working here.
Hi, my name is Anjali Khanna. I just graduated from Father Lopez. I'll be going to the University of Florida. Go Gators! I'll be on the pre-med track studying biology, and I'd like to thank my family and Pastor Scott and Caitlin.
Good morning and welcome to worship. We are so glad that you have joined us this morning. Welcome to those of you that normally worship at the Gathering Place. We are glad that you have joined us. Let us stand and worship in song this morning with our first hymn, Christ for the World We Sing.
The
seated.
All right, good morning. I am Scott. I'm the pastor here. If I haven't had a chance to meet you, I would love to meet you after the service. At some point, come and grab me and say hi, introduce yourself, all that kind of stuff. If I haven't met you, if I have met you, you don't need to speak to me. Just kidding. I'd love to hear from you. But no, all right. Today's going to be a little different. I hope it goes as well in this service as it did last service. Last service was awesome. And so we'll tell you about what we're doing. We're calling it Partnership Sunday. Now, what you need to know, most of you know this, is in 2017, our church made a decision. We had 6 goals we created in 2017 of things that we wanted to work on as a church and that we were going to work our way towards in 10 years. So 2017, so the goal is to have it completed in 2027, which is in 4 years or so. One of those goals was to give away as much as we spend on ourselves, meaning financial resources, giving away as much as we spend on ourselves. And I will admit that was not my goal. I did not come up with that. The vision team was meeting on that. They came up with this goal because I'm like, no. Because if we're giving away, if I'm giving money to other groups, you know who I'm not spending it on? Me. And I like me. And realizing that, and it's not about cutting our budget. It's about, our budget is like $1.4 million. It's about raising the cost so that we can give away as much as we spend on ourselves. Because as you know, one of the things we discovered about First United is we are financially blessed. We have resources, and we want to be a resource for our community, and that's very biblical. The Bible talks about, it tells us that God blessed Abraham. So I will make you a great nation. I will make all these people, as numerous as the stars in heaven. I'm going to be a blessing to you so that you will be a blessing to the world. And so we've started to work on that. Last year, we gave away $335,000 to different groups that we have partnered with across. So you can clap on that. That's a lot of money, people. I know this is the service, like, oh, don't move, don't do anything. Listen. So far this year, I'm told we're already well over $150,000 that we've given to different. Now, you know that some of the giving we do goes to special events. Things like there was the hurricane that happened last year. We had Ian and Nicole, and we raised about $40,000 as a church for hurricane relief. And we designated it. We said we want to keep that money in our community for the most part. Because, Volusia County, what a lot of people don't realize is there was a lot of flooding in Volusia County due to the hurricane, and we used a lot of our money for that. But when we got a couple months afterwards, we realized, well, we got some money left over. And so we called, being United Methodist, we have a connectional system. We called some folks down in Southwest Florida in Fort Myers and said, are there churches in need? And they told us there's some churches in need, and we gave each of those churches $5,000 out of our funds. And their pastors came and talked to me this week about it. What we do is we have a team. It's called the Mission Giving Team. There's some folks in our church, they're leaders in our church, and they meet on this team. They meet once, I don't know how often they meet. Once a month? They meet once a month on this team to kind of make sure our visions and our values are lining up. That we're not going to just give to any organization. We're not going to give to the University of Florida. We're also not going to give to Florida State, but we should. Anyhow, we make sure they got to line up with our visions and our values, and they kind of do that, and they look at it, and then they also say, is this a good use of our money? Because not every organization is making a good use of the money you give them, so they kind of critique that. So we have that group going on, and so we do these special offerings, and I hope that when we do a special offering, you understand that when you give to something beyond the local church, it's not, I'm going to give to the church and I'm going to give to this. Well, it's not, I'm going to give $100 to the church. Well, we got this special offering, so I'm going to give $70 to the church and $30 to this. That's not going to work. It's got to be like, I will tell you, Chris, this is what Chris and I did this week. We know we had a special offering for annual conference to support camp and scholarships. And Chris and I, we give 10% here to First United. That's our goal. That's what we do. And then we realized, all right, we're going to give an additional $200 to the conference offering because we wanted to support that. But then when we were at conference, there was this debate going back and forth, this friendly debate between Florida State University's campus ministry, the FSU Wesley Foundation, the Methodist Church on campus, and the University of Florida Methodist Church on campus. And they wanted to raise money, so I was inclined to give to Florida State because those are good Christian people there. Right? And I was all going to give my money all to Florida State, but then the FAMU, the Florida A&M University director, stood up and I went, well, I better give to them. So I gave some of my money to FAMU and some of my money to FSU and none of my money to Florida because, and be fair, Florida has no trouble raising money left and right for their ministry program. Florida gives better than FSU. The truth of the matter is. But what I tell you is we didn't take our church money and drop it. It just meant we had to figure that out. That's what I hope you're doing when you think about giving to these special things. One of the special offerings we gave to was last week to the annual conference. The Florida Annual Conference met last week. We're part of Connectional Church. They were raising money for a scholarship fund for Gerald D. McClellan to send African-American students to seminary to help with that. Because as we told you a couple weeks ago, there's a discrepancy between the endowment funds at universities and how it gets used. And African-American students don't get the same benefit as some other students. And so we wanted to help with that and the Warren Willis Camp. The scholarship was named in honor of Geraldine McClellan, and I happened to run into her this week at conference. So I filmed a quick video. Now, there were comments made after the last service. So let me clarify. One, Jason, our communications coordinator, did not do this video. I did. I have a theological degree from Duke University and no skills in video editing. And two, Geraldine is not terrified of me. As people said in the video, there was somebody trying to come out this door to our left, and the video person's doing this, and Geraldine's doing this. Okay? So, but Geraldine explains to us the purpose of the scholarship. Take a look.
Hey, First United, you know me, I'm the pastor, Scott Smith, that you love, but I am here with one of my most favorite people, Reverend Geraldine McClellan. We gave money towards the conference scholarship in her honor, and we just want to take a moment so you can see her and know her and hear from her. Geraldine, this is First United.
Good morning, First United. I am humbled and honored to be here and to just be able to you to see who I am. I am more than humbled for the contribution that you have made to the Geraldine McClellan Scholarship Fund. It will help students who are unable to achieve what they're going, what they're doing, those who have been called into ministry. And we just want to thank you once again for blessing me in more ways than one. I will always be indebted and appreciative for your love and contribution.
And she tried to straighten me out, but it hasn't worked yet.
I don't think it will ever work. I'm not sure you can either.
I've known Geraldine since I was a little kid in lots of ways, and incredibly thrilled we're supporting her. But she challenged me to do more. That's why I have this up here to remind me. Because it's not just scholars. She said it's not just sending kids to seminary, African American kids to seminary. Our churches need to be better at this. Our churches need to be more inclusive of race. And then she was sitting in front of me at another meeting this week, and she turned around to me and she goes, "So, boy, what are you going to do about that?" And so we've agreed, because we have another friend of mine, Arlinda, who runs a program about cross-racial appointments, about helping churches get ready to have a pastor of a different color. But more than that, how do churches get ready to have people whose color's not all the same? And so we're going to have some events this fall to work on that. And yes, I expect you there to help us work on that. So I'll tell you more about that. But we have these special offerings like the bishop's offering, the hurricane relief, those kind of things. But really where most of our giving goes are to our partnership ministries. We will tell you about our partnership ministries, and then you collect funds. We raise funds for those ministries. But we also, this mission giving team, we sold some property out west a few years ago. The Gathering Place, it owns 25 acres out there. The other property we sold, and we put some of that money, 10% of that money, into a fund to give away, to help generate the giveaway. It's an endowment fund, so it's continually generating money, and we're giving money out of what we generate. And I throw this out as a total shameless plug. Have you ever thought about giving to our endowment fund? Because right now you are giving faithfully of your finances, and it helps us build God's kingdom here. But at some point you're going to graduate from here and go on to glory and be in God's kingdom. Most of you will, hopefully. All right, you'll graduate and go into God's kingdom. But if you can remember the church in your will or your estate, that helps perpetuate building God's kingdom here for years to come. And if you're like, well, I don't know how to do that, talk to me and I can help you figure some things out. But we have some ministries that we have partnered with. Let let me tell you about those ministries. I'm going to read the scripture to you. There are 6 ministries that are here today I want you to hear about. One is Beachside Elementary School, which is 2 or 3 miles that way. They used to be right there, but they're 2 or 3 miles that way. They moved to a brand new facility. We started partnering with them in 2015 or 2016 with the food program. They have like 82% of their kids are on free or reduced lunch. I mean, they're literally 2 or 3 miles from our property, but most of the kids, 82% of the kids can't afford to buy lunch at school. That's what that's saying. So we started with a food program, and it is like literally blown up from there. Then we have the Beacon Center, which is the only intimate violence shelter in Volusia County. And in 2018, 2019, somewhere in that time period, Mark Dunn suckered me. He invited me to a wonderful I'm inviting you to a free breakfast. I don't know how many thousands of dollars that's cost, a free breakfast. Free breakfast. Met this wonderful woman named Angie Pye to talk about domestic violence. At that point, is what she was telling me. We've transitioned to intimate violence, and we formed a unique partnership with them. We've got Halifax Urban Ministries that Bill Turner in the early 2000s, a group from our church with Bill Turner, began to create a program here in Volusia County that, hey, how are we going to feed the poor and the hungry? How are we going to help the homeless? And Halifax Urban Ministries. New Start in 1998 was a program that Steve Miller felt a passion for making a difference in kids' lives who are having drug and alcohol and sexual addiction issues and other issues. And that program we've been working on since 1998. And so I want you to hear those programs. You notice we had a name attached to them from somebody in our church? That tells you something, doesn't it? That we want to create a place in a space where people connect with God and with each other through a life-changing relationship with Jesus Christ. And what happens is these cool connections begin to occur. And so maybe you're out there, because all of our folks are going to be outside afterwards, and maybe you can connect with them to figure out how can I help or do more or connect in some way. Other ways, or maybe you're sitting out here going, well, I've got this ministry I really have connected to, a program. Could we partner with them? Because we're always looking to partner with them. I left off Volusia Recovery Alliance because they're our newest partner that started with Bill Turner as well in 2020, and that's dealing with helping folks overcome addictions. And then our last group we're going to talk about today is the one that's been with us the longest because they've existed long before we have, and that is the Florida United Methodist Children's Home. We have partnered with these groups to help build God's kingdom here. There are 2 groups that aren't here today because we gave them some other days, because one of them's brand new, the Presbyterian Counseling Center. You saw them last month. They came and talked to us, and they're running a site on our campus to help with mental health. And then Anua, that's our program that we connect with in Africa, and we are super excited that in October we're flying some of the folks from Anua in Kenya over here to be with us for World Communion Sunday, so you can get an experience what it's like, what their ministry's like on that. But we partner with them because of this passage from Philippians. Paul says, I thank my God every time I remember you, and all my prayers for all of you. I will always pray with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. And what I want you to think and understand about these groups, that's exactly what we've done. We have partnered with these groups, and we pray for them, and we work with them, and we financially support with them, because we believe and we know that God has began a good work within them, and God's going to continue that good work. Our goal, we want you to connect with Jesus and have that life-changing relationship so you can go to heaven. But more importantly, we want you to help partner with us to bring heaven here, so that when Jesus in a few years shows up and heaven on earth, we're like, we were ready. Because we've worked hard to get the kingdom of God here. And these groups have done it, so I want you to hear from a few of them today. And so the first group, I invite Beachside Elementary. Melissa, the assistant principal. Is it assistant or vice principal? Assistant principal is going to come and tell us a little bit about Beachside Elementary and our partners. Let's welcome her as she comes forward. Oh, did I turn it on? Let's see, well, see, it's my issue.
I'm actually loud enough. I don't know.
No.
Good morning. I am Melissa Cleveland. I'm the proud assistant principal at Beachside Elementary. This is my 5th or 6th year at Beachside. I am here to tell you about the partnership that we have with First United and how much it means to the faculty, staff, and our students at Beachside Elementary. The partnership with First United helps Beachside in many ways, from teacher wish list fulfillment at the beginning of the year, including Amazon gift cards. My husband, who's in the back, could tell you, as a spouse of a teacher, our teachers spend a lot of their own money on stuff for their classrooms, so just having their wish lists or the Amazon gift card donations helps them out so much. To Thanksgiving turkeys and meals for our students, to Food Bag Fridays. The church comes and picks up food bags and delivers it to about 12 to 13 of our families. That means so much to them. Holiday vouchers this year, so all of our students could buy a gift for a loved one at the holiday store. To adopting 100 of our families to make sure that they had a Christmas this year and presents under their tree. To gift bags, laundry baskets for 12 families filled with household items that they were given in February. To teacher appreciation, they provided a yummy taco bar. The teachers loved it. Anytime that they don't have to pack their lunch, they love. And Amazon gift cards to help with end-of-the-year parties. To this December, Beachside, we had to pack up an entire campus and move. So volunteers showed up, helped teachers helped them pack their boxes. And then on Super Sunday, when Ms. Bruner, our principal, asked, what could we have the volunteers do? I jokingly said, hey, we have materials that haven't been built yet or unpacked. Do you think they would help us do that? Because I hadn't told my husband that he was going to have to come do that. And they said yes. And they came on Super Bowl Sunday, and they built them all. And they came back because they hadn't finished. And we are so appreciative of that. And just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart and from Beachside Elementary for all that you guys do for us.
Thanks. So too, on that, as I said earlier, so 82% of those kids at that school are free and reduced lunch, the difference you make. And listen, we are big supporters here at First United of public school education. They're getting a lot of bad press right now, teachers are. And if you're one of those people, shut up. Volunteer, and I mean that in a loving Christian way, of course. If you're whining about public school systems, my next question to you is, are you volunteering in the public school system? Are you helping out? Are you coming alongside of kids? One of the things I love about our Gathering Place, and there's a few Gathering Place folks here, they have partnered with Westside Elementary out because they're on the West Side. So they're out on the West Side, Beachside, West Side. How creative are we in our school names? Right, so they're out there, they're teaching, they have a reading aloud program. Is that what it's called? Perfect. Reading aloud program. They're actually helping kids to read. That's making a difference in this world. Anybody can whine and complain and point fingers as to what's wrong with society. And if you're somebody that thinks there's wrong with the kids and it's wrong with society, and let me complain to you, I'm going to ask how you're volunteering. And if you're not volunteering, your voice goes hushy-hushy. All right? So just know that, because our public school systems make a big difference in kids' lives, and our church is always going to be uber supportive of the public school system. Now, another ministry we love partnering with, even though I got suckered into it. Come on down, Angie. The Beacon Center, the only intimate violence. We learned, that's one of the things I learned. We changed the name from domestic violence to intimate violence, meaning the closeness if you know somebody. We have been partnering with them since 2018 in lots of ways. This is Angie Pye, the director of the Beacon Center.
Thank you. And thank you for having me, and thank you for all that you have done for the Beacon Center. To start, the church has been, sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat, so I apologize. The church has been amazing in giving and loving and caring about the people in our facility. We have a playground at our property now after 20 years of kids not having a playground, and that is because of First United and what you guys have done for the facility. You come out and serve on Super Serve Sunday. always been there to volunteer and help whenever we needed anything, in addition to the money that has been donated by First United. But more importantly, I want to tell you a little quick story, because I think this is really reflective of the partnership and what we should be doing. But we had a mother come in who was pregnant. She was pregnant with twins. She ended up losing one of the twins as a result of the violence that she experienced. So she came in pretty broken, even though there was just this light in her that you could see from the first moment that you met her. She had a little boy with her. She had sent her older girls to family to be safe, and eventually they came back to the facility to live with her. She started working on her healing, went to work, started saving money, was able to get into housing, and we purchased furniture for her through her our relocation program to get her started in her new home. It's basic stuff, a couch, some beds, got her a crib, made sure she had a bassinet because she was going to be having this new baby as soon as she got into her housing. And within 24 hours of moving, she went into labor and ended up having an emergency C-section, which hospitalized her for a couple days. So I called Amy, and I said, all of her stuff is in boxes. It's been shipped in Amazon. I don't want her to come home from the hospital and not even have a place to lay her baby down. So is there any way we can get some people maybe together to help us put furniture together? And Amy was like, let me see what I can do. Within 24 hours, we were at the house putting furniture together with the help of members here with First United. And what was even more amazing to me was that Amy called me and said, can I refer her to Martha Mary Ministries, and maybe we could just kind of serve her a little bit longer? And I said, sure. You know, she was open to it. So people at this church showed up at her house every other day for several weeks. It was 2 or 3 weeks, I think, every other day, bringing her hot food. They brought her diapers. They brought her baby items. They brought her additional furniture. They made sure her pantry was packed. They got stuff the kids love to eat. They made sure it was easy stuff that she could do because she had this new baby and she was healing from surgery. And the love that was shown to her was just so beautiful. And I'm so thankful for that. I did this without crying. I don't know if I'm going to do it without crying again. But I was so thankful for that. And I called her and I said, you know, are you okay with all this? Because people were coming to her house and bringing her stuff. And I said, you know, you need it to stop. Say the word. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. And she said, I am so thankful and I'm so blessed by what has happened here. And I feel so loved and supported. And that's what we want. So we're building a faith response team. And we're going to make that happen. So we have a group of people that are able to help some of our families when they take that step into independent housing. So many of them have been on their own for so long, and stepping into housing is scary. They're now responsible for everything. So having that love and support, and that's what we do with no strings attached. We're called to love and care about each other, and not with strings attached. We just give. And so that's what you all did. You just gave, and you changed her life, and you showed her kids something that they needed to see. So thank you all. God bless you all for that, and I appreciate you all so much.
So, as she said there, that no strings attached. Remember, we believe that God loves you. Worked on this for a long time. Let's get it better. God loves you. You saw what we did there. No strings attached. We loved and we helped. What's even better, the biblical response you saw exhibited that. The kindness you showed to strangers is what the Bible asks us to do. That hospitality of loving the stranger when we're going to get nothing back. What a witness to faith.
Where the folks make me feel so
I sang all those songs growing up. I think they were in the old Cokesbury hymnal. Speaking of singing old songs and things like that, because Buck's getting ready, hey, y'all are the service. You've impressed me as a service because we've been doing this QR code for the last several years. Y'all fill it out. Well done. We started doing those folders again last week because the early service was at 52%. They filled out the forms last week and jumped up to 91%. Well done. Still, y'all were ahead of the game. 3 of you filled out the black folders. 92% of you filled out the QR code. So however you're signing in, keep signing in with us. Pass the folders if you could do that, help people sign in. Last week at the early service primarily, we learned 29 families had never connected with us, but they filled out that form. So understand that's why we ask you to do that, is to fill out the form as a great way to connect with us and us to connect with you. One of the ministries we have been connected with for since the beginning is Halifax Urban Ministries. They started in the late 90s, early 2000s, and their current director is Buck James, who's active here at First United.
Well, good morning, First United. I got it too.
Angie's like catching.
It's good to be here this morning, and I am very proud of this church, which has made that commitment that we're going to spend as much on others as we spend on ourselves. And that's really something. And I want to share with you, put the first slide up, some of the things we've done here. So since 2020, so this is all since 2020, we've spent $1,000 per month for 2 room sponsorships at Hope Place. What that means is 2 rooms is going to serve on average about 8 families with children over the course of a year. So we've been doing that since 2020. We also spend $1,120 per month on average to support food programs. That would be the Bridge of Hope as well as our Feed a Family programs, which distribute food at 4 different pantries, one in Ormond, one in Daytona, one in Port Orange, and one in New Smyrna Beach, as well as 23 Volusia County schools. On top of that, we do our quarterly food donation days, and in those days since 2020, we have collected over 6,000 pounds of food. That's equivalent to 5,000 meals of donated food that then gets distributed out into the community. And at the same time, during those days, we collect housewares, linens, furniture, all of those kinds of items that then are used to help families when they're moving back out in the community so that they don't have any financial outlay in order to be able to move into a new apartment or rental house or wherever they're moving. And we've collected many, many items that way. We also have one of our members who provides a new pillow and a handmade pillowcase for every resident of Hope Place as well as the Barracks of Hope. And they're able to take those pillows and pillowcases with them when they move out into the community. In addition to that, in 2020, we collected over $38,000 for the Hope Place Courtyard Project. And just this year, just recently, a little over a month ago, we were able to collect over $51,000 to support the Barracks of Hope Room Sponsorship Program. And what that money is going towards is when we first began the project to renovate the old Christ United Methodist Church. Everybody remember Christ United Methodist? Anybody remember that place? Yes. So we have been working to renovate that facility so we can move our barracks away from the Seagrave Avenue area into a neighborhood much like Hope Place. And so when we started that project in 2020 at the beginning of COVID, the costs have gone up about 40% since then, and so the money that we raised there is going towards helping us to offset those additional costs. And then in addition to all of that other that we've collected in terms of cash donations as well as in-kind donations, this church since 2020 has done more than, the 2150 is about what we can count that we know we've done. But we've done more than that, I know for sure. 2,150 hours of volunteer service just at Halifax Urban Ministries. So give yourself an applause. I mean, that's just amazing. Yes. Let's see, next slide. So what is the impact of those donations? You can see up here on this slide. So at Hope Place, every year we serve between 120 and 140 families with children. In addition to that, I didn't put it on the slide, we also serve about 25 young adults. They're typically in the age 18 to 24. Many of them have come through the foster care system. So we're serving those folks at Hope Place. In addition to that, we serve about 70 to 80 veterans each year at the Barracks of Hope. That's the facility we're getting ready to transition in November. We're having our opening day event on November 10th, so put that on your schedule. And in both of those cases, with Hope Place and the Barracks of Hope, it's not just about providing shelter to those folks. It's about providing all the other things that they need. So they get 3 meals a day. If they need clothes and shoes, those kinds of items, they get that for the families. We provide formula and diapers and all the things that they need so that while they're with us, they can save the money that they're earning and use that to help them get reestablished into permanent housing. Each year at Bridge of Hope, we serve between 70 and 90,000 meals. Many of those, anybody here work at the Bridge of Hope, volunteer? I can see a couple hands up, and I know we had a bunch of them at the event earlier at 9 o'clock service. And then 200 to 300 households are provided funds to assist with move-ins, rent, and utility assistance through Pathways to Housing. Come and see me after the service if you have any questions or want to be involved in any of these programs that we have. And I want to thank you for supporting Halifax Urban Ministries. Together, we are making a difference in our community.
Thanks, Buck. Yeah, we love being partners with Halifax Urban Ministry. At the early service, we talked about the song they sang right before Buck got to speak. Talked about how we care for our brother, and I'll throw in sister too, brother and sister, how we do that through love. And that's certainly something that's happening at Halifax Urban Ministries. Another program we've been with for a really long time is the New Start Ministry program. They're doing stuff now, some stuff now at Halifax Urban Ministry at Hope Place. But let me invite Sarah, the director of New Start, to come and tell us a little bit about how we support their ministries. You're welcome.
Thank you for putting that down. So I am the new director for
Now remember, hold it here.
I know. I'm the new director for New Start. Steve Miller, who's been in your church for a really long time, I took over for. He has been wonderful in kind of gearing me to work with these kids. But, we work, and I'll read a little bit. Our mission is to help as many youth as we can who feel lost. Often our youth have been forgotten, abused. They've made choices where they believe God will never forgive them. They've gotten themselves into situations where they're now facing the consequence of those situations. So we actually go into Stuart Marchman. We work with 2 programs in there. One is a shelter program. So they're there for a short-term amount of time. A lot of those kids are dealing with truancy issues at home, maybe homelessness. There's some issues with parents, so they're looking to get into a new placement. And then we have some of our kids who are starting the beginning stages of drug use and alcohol abuse. So those kids are there for us for a short time. We go in every week and we work with these kids. And then our second group that we run on campus is with their long-term programs. So these kids are actually there for drug and alcohol issues. Some of them, honestly, we've been working with have got human trafficking issues. All of these kids are dealing with just a ton of trauma when they're at these programs. Actually, as a story for one of my kids, it's his second time in the program. He left. Dad has died of an overdose. Mom is dealing with her own drug and alcohol issues. And so he was sent back home to his 20-year-old sister, and unfortunately was not the best placement for him. So he's back in our program, and we're continuing to work with him every week. The mentor that he does work with is a very influential person in his life. So we are so proud of our mentors who make a commitment to come every week. Most of them, honestly, are with your church, and we are so grateful and so thankful. Miss Ruth and Mr. Kevin are our prayer warriors, and they actually work with these kids. They have their prayer by name, by face. and what they're needing and praying for them every week. So in that, we also hand out Bibles. Their very first Bible, it's a recovery Bible, which is wonderful, dealing with the steps. And actually, when we went into our Hope Place program, which is another program we work with the youth who are young adults who are 18 to 24. These are our youth that are more homeless and at a safe place. And we're in there weekly working with them as well. Have our judge-free zone where we're able to talk about real life events and what's going on and how we can really nurture and love them. But I pulled out the Bibles for them, and one of the youth is like, "Hey, I've got that Bible." And she's like, "Were you on campus at Stuart Marchman?" So we're working with these youth and it's full circle where we're really able to love and encourage them. Again, really with the help and support of you guys here at First United Methodist. We have our volunteering happening at Adventure Week, so a few of our young adults will be coming with us on campus. So we're very excited for that, and we actually have one of our youth who will be baptized here in 2 weeks on the 25th. So we're super excited to support him in that next adventure. So thank you guys again so much. We appreciate your support.
Thanks. So as she said, we have baptism now, June 25th down at Cardinal Approach. And if you're somebody considering baptism, or if you haven't been baptized, we'd love that opportunity to baptize you, dunk you in the water, and we'll pull you up, I promise you. But dunk you in the water to do that. And maybe you've been baptized. You don't have to be rebaptized. If we had to rebaptize you every time you sinned, you'd be wet a lot. But sometimes you need that reaffirmation or to re-up or just kind of like, hey, I feel wayward. And you may want to reaffirm your baptism. And we'd be glad to talk to you about ways you could reaffirm that baptism and make a commitment with us on the 25th. So just grab me after the service if you want to do that. Let's take a moment to stand as we sing.
Takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around can warm up in its glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you spread His love to everyone you want to pass it on. What a wondrous time is spring, when all the trees are budding. The birds begin to sing, the flowers start their blooming. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you want to sing. It's fresh like spring. You want to pass it on. I wish for you, my friend, this happiness that I found. You can depend on Him. It matters not where you're bound. I'll shout it from the mountaintop. I want the world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on.
As I said at the last service, one of the hardest things I have to do as a pastor, or some of the hardest things I've had to do in my life as a pastor is having to do the funeral of someone who's passed away from an overdose. Tragic incident that has occurred because somebody did drugs and either got a bad set of drugs or just did too much of the drug, and just the chaos of that. And they're always talk about in those moments the pain and the hurt and the addiction, but nothing ever separates us from God's love. That even in that moment, we're still loved and cared for by God. And one of our more recent partners is the Volusia Recovery Alliance. Let me invite Karen to come on up here and share with us about this ministry as we try to help those who are going through drug addiction, overdose, et cetera, and how we can make a difference there.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everyone. I guess it's afternoon almost.
No, it's not.
Anyways, hello.
We're not that late.
I am Karen Trapek. I'm the Executive Director of Volusia Recovery Alliance. I am a person in long-term recovery. And what that means for me is I have not done drugs or alcohol in more than 40 years. My family's been healed. And I've been able to give back to my community, even way beyond Florida, to other countries even. So if you would go back just a little, one slide. So we are a grassroots not-for-profit education and advocacy organization that helps people get off drugs and stay off drugs. Our mission is that we serve to those seeking recovery, families, including families, the person that's struggling, as well as allies. And we are really working to mobilize resources, reduce stigma, enhance recovery through multiple pathways. Next slide. So my why, as I said, I'm a person in long-term recovery. The gentleman on the end is somebody that I used to work for Darryl Strawberry Recovery Center. I put Eric in treatment 6 times. And he was suffering with insomnia, and he went and got 2 pills from his old drug dealer, and they were fentanyl, not Xanax, and it killed him. And so a lot of what I do is in memory of Eric, because I'm friends with his mom. But I've seen many families be torn apart from substance use disorder, including my own. I get help, I get to help save lives every day. And I've been reunited with my family, and I've been married for more than 34 years. Next slide. So, we know that recovery is possible. Volusia County has more overdoses per capita of 100,000 than the entire state. So Volusia has really struggled with overdose deaths, and we have the support of Sheriff Chitwood to decrease that. We have decreased it by 12% as a community. Next slide. So it makes sense dollar-wise and life-wise, in that every dollar spent for recovery resources saves $11, and that's $4 for medical and $7 for criminal justice. Next slide. So this is a laundry list of the services that we do provide, some of which are really supported in a big way from First United Methodist Church. We have provided, you can go to the next slide, but our overdose reversal and response training, we have Narcan. I have Narcan today for free. Please get trained afterwards and take some Narcan, because you too can save a life. But since we've been doing this, we have given out over 9,870 Narcan kits. We have trained more than 5,400 people in Narcan, and we've been given the reports that we have saved 164 lives, and that's only the ones that we've been told about. Next slide. So, or go back one slide. That was that slide. Next. So, we also provide recovery coaching and support, which means people with lived experience help other people that need our help. And so we have assisted 171 participants in one-on-one coaching. We also provide the latest check that we got from First United, we're using for transportation for recovery rides. We are also providing emergency housing, and we've helped over 50 people since we've been getting money from the church to stay off the street whether it's a night, whether it's 2 weeks at a recovery residence. Peer support makes a difference. Next slide. Because it increases the person's self-esteem. They have a partner to walk with during their recovery process. Next slide. So in the realm of linking people to services that, we answer the phone and someone may call saying, I need housing, right? So we have helped 1,722 people find the resources they need to get into recovery or sustain it. Next slide. So one of the groups that we do have support from you all is our Parent Cafe, and that's to help parents with connection, because the opposite of addiction is connection, but they also learn parenting tools and they come together. We provide childcare and food. Next slide. Our latest innovation is a group just for dads in recovery, which we love, and that is supported by this church. Next slide. And we have, unfortunately, because of the overdoses, we do provide in partnership with Halifax Hospice an overdose grief support group, which is very helpful to the families. Next slide. Also, we provide Invitation to Change. It's a family group based on science and kindness, and that is also a group that we provide at our Hope Hub. Next slide. We also provide 12-step yoga, which is a great addition. It's another pathway of recovery that is possible for people. Next slide. We also provide career development support in contract with CareerSource, Flagler, and Volusia. That's called Career Connect, and I do have referral forms with me today. Next slide. And then we're privileged to be in the Women's County Jail to provide freedom to change. And I have with me today a sample of our welcome backpacks that they get when they complete the program and when they're released. And it's making a big difference in their recovery outcomes as well as reducing recidivism. Next slide. And I think there was another slide maybe that got missed. Oh, it is. So A Window Between Worlds is an alternative to art therapy that heals trauma. And so we're also doing that, and we invite anybody that has trauma and substance use disorder to attend that meeting. So thank you. We are so appreciative of you all. We love you.
Thanks. So one of the reasons we partner with all these groups is because we can't do it all. We don't have the ability, we don't have the resources, we don't have the know-how in lots of these ways. So we partner with these groups because they're doing it. And rather than us having to reinvent the wheel, we can just come alongside of them and do that, like with Volusia Recovery Alliance. Our last group we're going to share with you today is not because their last is best, but because we've been with them the longest and they have the expertise in the children's home. And this is from the Florida United Methodist Children's Home. They've been around since... He'll tell us in just a second. I'll get the date wrong. Katwana's coming up to tell us about that. But we have been with them since we became a church in 1952.
Good morning. Come on first. Good morning.
I know.
All right. So if you know that we've been around since 1908, or if you haven't known, we've been around since 1908. So that's 115 years, and you guys have been alongside us, supporting us since day one of First. So that's, I would imagine, that's a long time, right?
1952.
Yes. So you've been supporting this ministry. I thank God for the privilege to be the president and CEO, your president and CEO of the Florida United Methodist Children's Home. I come to Florida by way of Louisiana, where I served at the Louisiana United Methodist Children's Home. And I've been serving children and families since 1995. It's been a blessing to do that because I get to see those who understand life's best lived in service to others. And you all are a church that exemplifies that. And thank you for inviting us today. I got to hear some awesome ministries. And you guys may not have known this, this, but we're going to probably have conversations with those ministries and sort of figure out ways to extend our reach so you're having an impact in a greater way than what you realize today. One of the things I want to do is talk about your home and how we're impacting lives and how we have impacted lives. Just a snapshot of 2022, provide you with a few statistics there, and then sort of wrap it up with letting you know where we're heading as far as the services to children and families. And I want to start because I tell all of our staff that, and I didn't say this in the beginning, that everything that we do has to be rooted in our mission. And you guys talked about your strategic plan and how you had a vision in where you were heading with partnerships and things as such. But our mission is really the driving force behind our ministry. And our mission is to empower children and families to experience the transforming love of Christ through evidence-based care and holistic practices. Wow, right? That's a lot. But we've been doing that, and it has evolved over the years. And that's the mission of the ministry that you partner with. So here we go. In 2020, we received over 1,200 referrals for service for children and young adults throughout all of our programs. And we have a footprint throughout Florida, a residential footprint in Madison at our ranch, a residential footprint in Enterprise, and here recently an emergency shelter care that was in West Palm Beach. We served a total of 228 individual youth through our programs in residential care. The average length of stay, because I was asked this question earlier, is roughly 6 to 9 months for some of our programs. And then as many of you know, we started off as an orphanage. So there's some children that we're serving today are the orphans of yesterday that we get to be a part of their lives through adulthood. And that length of stay generally is around 1 to 3 years. We catch them when they're teenagers. On the back end of residential care, we've served 28 young adults through our independent living program. You may be asking yourself, what's independent living? Independent living is set up to serve young adults ages 18 all the way up to 26. I wish there was an independent living for me when I was age 18 to 26. But you can imagine those children that come through our care, the significance of the trauma that they may have experienced during our care and afterwards, that trauma just doesn't magically disappear. There's still a need for support and help into adulthood, and we try to launch them well. And so that program, we serve 28 individual youth, young adults through adulthood. Of those 28, we have 3 who are seeking higher education. We have 1 young adult who's pursuing a bachelor's degree at FSU. And when I say your donations go to support them from a tuition standpoint financially. So we have that young man that's there. We have a student that's at FAMU that we're supporting, and we also have one that's here around the corner at Daytona State. 240 individual youth were served in our foster homes. And I mentioned that earlier, and I was asked when we were in the vestibule later on, what do you mean when you're talking about foster homes? That's individuals in the community going through training, selecting us as a licensing organization to come alongside us to serve children that may come through our care in their own homes. And so that's significant to me. Anyone who opens their home to a child or a sibling group, not knowing who they are or where they come from, but they're going to love on them and shelter them and keep them safe until they make their next transition, that's huge. And so we've served 240 children throughout the state of Florida through our foster homes. We added 12 new foster families, and that's significant. In an environment of today, the inflation rate is high and it's expensive just to care for yourself. But there were 12 individual families that came to us to say, hey, we want to come alongside this mission and serve children. And so we added 12 new to the fold. We served roughly 1,500 children through outpatient counseling. And let me say this, I would much rather serve a child in their own home and keep the family intact versus them needing residential care on our campus. Let that resonate for a little while. One of our institutions, the family, there's something to be said about the work that needs to be done there. And we're actively seeking and trying to keep those families intact by providing deep end therapeutic services in homes. And so we served 1,500 children throughout the state of Florida last year. 235 community children were served in our early childhood education program. And I had a conversation earlier with someone who was a Montessori teacher, and it sort of piqued her interest to hear about our Montessori early childhood education program on our campus in Enterprise. And I challenge you, you're hearing me, I don't have PowerPoint, but for the majority of you, you're here. You could come and visit your home, and it doesn't really sort of manifest itself until you see the environment and you hear about the things that we do on that campus that you support. So that's your charge, right, for this up and coming year. Let's talk about success. Our success rate for our children, we've had 89% of the children that come through our residential treatment programs complete their treatment plan and are on the planned discharge track. Opposite of that, unplanned discharge, if we have children that come to us that may need deeper in care or may need to transition to another program that can better meet their needs, is the opposite of that. And so we have successes with those that we serve. As it pertains to the dollar, a number of you are donors and stakeholders in our ministry. 87 cents of every dollar goes back into what we do programming-wise as it pertains to the children's home. And that's significant. If you go to Charity Navigator and you're interested in finding out what that means, you can go to that site as well, and it will show you that we are great stewards of the resource that we're in charge of. So what's going on in the future? Well, the Florida United Methodist Children's Home is in a rebranding phase. Seems like we have been for the last 4 years, but it's really coming to a head this year, and we look forward to unveiling that at the end of the summer. Some of you as donors who have provided us in the past with your email address, it's a dangerous thing when you say we can contact you, because guess what? We will take a random sample of our donors and stakeholders and have them involved in the rebranding process. What that looks like, we've been told how it's going to be set up, but some of you get to be a part of who we are as far as our identity and name and colors, mind you, and logo moving forward. And so that should be an exciting thing to hear. We're involved in establishing innovative care. We're looking forward to working with deep-end traumatized teenage girls. Now, I'm a girl dad, and so this is really close and dear to me. In the Bartow region of our state, which is Polk County, and we're partnering with the Sheriff's Youth Ranch, leveraging their property, as well as Heartland for Children, and trying to meet the needs of children from that region, young ladies from that region with deep trauma. And so that is a program that's in the works that we are sort of navigating some of the front end details with that area, and look forward to implementing that at the end of this year. So the rebranding, the programming, we're partnering. We are in the process of partnering with True Health to provide pediatric medical services in Enterprise, the metropolis of Enterprise, right? So you're not laughing. I don't think a lot of you have been to Enterprise. That's a joke. To provide medical services really for that region, right? As well as our children. We found that there's been issues or roadblocks to get timely medical services, and what that will do is that will expedite that with this partnership. And it's not just us, because we can't fill their schedule, so it's going to be open to the community as well. And so lastly, I'm often asked, well, what can we do to continue to help the Children's Home? My answer to that, and I think it holds true for the programs and services that you partner with, is to continue to pray for the leadership of those ministries. Because I'm a firm believer that if you continue to pray with them, and if you continue to partner with them with your time, that's important, your talents, and your dollar, and your prayers, we will be successful. What we do is not easy. Many of us do it because it's a passion of ours. I love serving children, love being in leadership and helping those figure out that that's a passion of theirs as well. So continue to pray for our board, our staff, our leadership, and our plight to further our mission of serving children and families. And thank you for being a blessing to the home.
Thanks, man. One of the things, Con told me afterward, we're in the top 25 churches, right? Something like that. We got the plaque, top 25. We do this every year, just with the Children's Home. We talk about them occasionally throughout the year, but our big gift is during Christmas time. 100% of our Christmas Eve offering goes to them. Last year we raised a little over $40,000. $32,000 of it all came from that Christmas Eve offering. So thank you for your faithfulness on that.
And it is our mission to gather differently, to love abundantly, and to welcome everybody. So we consider ourselves the toddler of the Mama Church, which is First United. And so we're very much connected. We have some folks from the gathering place here this morning and at the 9 o'clock service. And a part of my role is to connect with young adults and with folks who feel disconnected from the church. And something I hear frequently from this group of people is, the church talks too much about money. We've heard that before, right? But this morning is a reminder that when the church talks about money, what we're really talking about is how the church is connecting with folks who are on the margins of society, like those served by Halifax Urban Ministries and New Start. What we're really talking about is overcoming the grip that substance abuse and addiction has in Volusia County by connecting with partners like the Volusia Recovery Alliance. What we're really talking about here is by investing in students and children, the next generation. We call kids the future of the church. It's the present of the church. What we're talking about when we're talking about giving is connecting with our community partners like the Beacon Center, the Domestic Violence Shelter, with the Children's Home, and investing in the kingdom of God right here and right now. I think of the final words that Jesus told his disciples on the night in which he was betrayed. It was the night that instead of being a normal host, he took out a towel and a basin and washed his disciples' feet. And on that night, he said, "You are no longer servants, you are called friends. And there is no greater love than this, than to lay one's life down for their friend." What does that look like today? What does it look like to lay your life down for your friend? It means setting aside our comfort, setting aside our financial resources, our time, and our energy by investing sweat equity in these organizations and helping. That's what it looks like to lay one's life down for your friends. Today, we've remembered that there is no us and them, only us. So who is our friends? Who are our neighbors, our friends? They're the women at the Domestic Violence Shelter. It's the children who are impacted by the Florida United Methodist Children's Home. It's our unhoused, homeless neighbors who are going through transition and are being served by Halifax Urban Ministries. It's students in Volusia County at Beachside Elementary and Westside Elementary School. It's the kids who are struggling with substance abuse through New Start and the Volusia Recovery Alliance. Those are our friends. So on the night in which Jesus gave himself up for us, he took the bread and he gathered together his friends. And he said, "This is my body, given for you. Do so in remembrance of me." And then when the supper was over, he took the cup, gave thanks to you, God blessed it, and said, "Take and drink. This is the blood of my new covenant, shed for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. And as often as you drink of it, do so in remembrance of me." Let's pray. Holy God, pour out your Spirit on all of us gathered here and make us be the body and blood of Christ so that we can be for the world the body of Christ, redeemed by his blood. Holy God, we ask you to make us one with Christ, one with each other, and one in ministry to all the world, one in ministry with our community partners who are doing good in our neighborhoods and beyond. Holy God, we pray that we break down the divide of us and them, because there is only us. And our neighbors have faces, they have names. And you call us to draw closer to each other through our time, our presence, our energy, and our financial gifts, God. And we ask these things in the name of the one who taught us how to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. The body of Christ, broken for you. The blood of Christ, the cup of salvation, given for you. So a couple of instructions as you go up here, especially because we might have gathering place folks who are unfamiliar. We're going to have stations up in the front, and we practice communion through intinction, so you'll be given a piece of bread and you'll dip it in the cup, which is non-alcoholic grape juice. We practice a open table. Scott and I were just at the Florida Annual Conference, and it was so revigorated and refreshing to remind us of our tradition. And our tradition is that we are an open table, that we call each other friends, which means that you get a seat. You're welcome here, no matter what tradition you might come from, the denomination you might hail from, whether your age, from young to old, whether you're full of faith or full of doubt, you are welcome to this table. So whenever you're ready, come forward and taste and see that the Lord is good. Come taste and see that you have been called friend.
Amen. We're glad that you were with us today and hope that you learned something about our partnership in ministries. They'll be out in the lobby and get a chance to talk to them, maybe connect with them, a way that you can serve them physically or financially in any way on that. We love the fact that we're helping build God's kingdom here. A couple things before you get out of here. First off, if you signed up for the God of Wonders Bible study at the Museum of Arts and Sciences, good for you. We will see you Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. If you didn't sign up, I told you to. So if you haven't signed up, you ain't coming. All right, it's full. But if you did sign up and you're not able to come, if you will let me know, I bet I can sell your tickets on scalping. All right, so let me know how we can do that. Where we're going next week, letting you know, I'm up front with you. You'll know this. I'm not going to be here next week. My wife's and I's oldest friends. We've been friends with them as a married couple when we first met them. So we've been married 33 years. So 33 years ago, we met as couples to be friends. Their daughter's getting married, and they asked me to do the wedding. So I'm going to do the wedding next week. So I won't be here next week. Dylan, our youth director, will be leading us next week. And then following that, both here and at the Gathering Place, we're starting a worship series called Hebrew Heroines, looking at women of the Old Testament and what a difference they made in faith. So we hope you will join us for that. Let's stand for the benediction. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And take that peace and go out into the world and make a difference. Peace out.